Let's talk about abortion. That's another issue that you've sent some mixed signals on, and I want to ask you about your position. Last August, you were speaking to reporters at the Iowa State Fair, and you said you'd sign a federal abortion ban after 15 weeks or 21 weeks if you were elected. And your campaign came out and said you misunderstood the question and that your position on abortion is that, quote, it is always the woman's right to choose. He does not support legislation banning abortion, period. Then this month you sat down with our pal Sage Steele, who has her own podcast she just launched, and you said that women should have the right to an abortion even if full term, which lines up with your campaign's statement after your own spoken words at the Iowa State Fair saying 15 or 21 week ban. They said no. When you spoke to Sage, you seem to be saying no bans. A woman should have the right to choose even if full term. Quote, we shouldn't have government involved even if it's full term. Then there was outcry and you reversed yourself there, saying in a tweet, once the baby's viable outside the womb, it should have rights. It deserves society's protection. So at this point in your campaign, isn't it fair to say you should have a firm position on this and be able to espouse it clearly and uniformly?
I suppose I should. I'll tell you what my own evolution was on this. I've been a medical freedom activist for my entire life. So my inclination is that government should stay out of medical procedures and that with abortions, that we should trust women. We should trust the judgment of a mother. My understanding was that, well, you know, my initial understanding when I gave that interview in Iowa was that was the same as Roe v. Wade, which protects mothers and the woman's choice during the early part of pregnancy, but then later on in pregnancy after viability, that the state has an increasing interest in regulating and protecting that unborn child. And that interest would increase up to the day of pregnancy, of birth. I got blowback on that position, and particularly from my wife and her sisters, who are very close advisors to me. And one of the points that they made is that there's no woman who wants to get pregnant and then carry that pregnancy for 9 months and then at the last minute abort it. That just doesn't happen. And indeed, there's a lot of advocacy groups that say that literally never happens, that the choices that are made at the end of pregnancy to abort are choices that are made on usually on dire medical emergencies that involve either the health of the child or the health of the mother. And to me, it seemed like that's the last place that we want to bring in bureaucrats or government officials to make decisions. That's when you really want to leave the decision to a mother. When I gave that decision on Sage Steele, talked about that position on Sage Steele's program, I got a lot of blowback from people. And some data that indicated that actually there are a lot of, not a dramatic number, but in the thousands of births each year that are elective abortions during the final month of pregnancy. And in my view, those should not happen. And I've seen the pictures that are very gruesome, as I'm sure you have. So I changed my position again. I'll change my position always based upon if I was wrong on the facts. I'm not going to dig in and defend a position where factually I believe that my initial position was wrong. So that's my position now is basically the same position as in Roe v. Wade, that the government does have at the end of pregnancy after viability, that the government does have an interest in protecting the unborn child.
So you say the final month of pregnancy, you saw gruesome photos about abortions there, which would be 36 weeks to 40 weeks. A pregnancy lasts 40 weeks. Are you saying that you would allow abortions all the way up to 36 weeks? Because viability happens a lot earlier, happens in the low 20s. Depends on who you ask, but between the low 20s to 28 weeks.
Yeah, I wouldn't pick a week, Megyn. I would say that my policy would be the same as under Roe v. Wade, that the state, after viability, the state has an interest in protecting the baby.
Okay, so because under Roe v. Wade, that's where we did have third-term abortions happening in some places, because they would leave it in various states up to the woman. And while it's true that it's rare for babies to be aborted in the third trimester in that final month, it does happen. That's how we wound up with Kermit Gosnell in Pennsylvania. I mean, there are some brutal butchers out there, and there are some negligent women who don't pay attention to their menstrual cycle, who will find themselves pregnant, and who abort a perfectly healthy baby under the auspices of mental health. Should that be banned?
And well, as I said, I would leave it to the states to make their determination about when viability happens and what kind of regulation. I'm not going to dictate to the states exactly what kind of regulation. I think that should be up to the people of that state. That
position you just espoused is currently Trump's position, that it should be left to the states. It's a state's issue, and it's the default constitutional provision post-Dobbs, which got rid of Roe versus Wade. So
I think President Trump would give no protection to, as I understand his position, to the woman's right to choose even early on in the pregnancy, and that's not.
He says it's a states' rights issue. Yeah, it's a states' rights issue, and I would say that the women should have federal protection up until viability. That it's a woman's right to choose up to that. So because President Biden wants to codify Roe, and Roe, Roe is kind of loose, right? Like, you could use Roe to say a woman has the right to choose all the way through the 9th month if her health depends on it, is how they use it. And when you think about, okay, the mother's life, that's one thing. Of course, the life that's here and existing always gets precedence over the unborn life. But what they do is they create health exceptions, and then a mother, an irresponsible one, a person who doesn't care about her unborn fetus, says it's my mental health. And there are some ethical doctors who will perform abortion on a totally viable, healthy baby as late as 38 weeks because of that. That doesn't seem to me like it should be allowed. As we draw near another critical election, it's not just about casting your vote, it's about elevating your voice. I want to tell you about the Association of Mature American Citizens, or AMAC. That's more than just a senior discount organization. They unite like-minded patriots committed to preserving our cherished values and actively opposing the leftist agenda. As AMAC's membership grows, Washington listens. Every new member strengthens this movement. If you love America, check out amac.us/Megyn and consider becoming a 4-year member for just $30. AMAC membership gives you access to the AMAC magazine, free Social Security and Medicare guidance, money-saving discounts, trusted news, sweepstakes, and more. Take advantage of their election year sale, 4 years for just $30. By joining the over 2 million members, get your voice heard. Join now at amac.us/Megyn. That's amac.us/MEGYN. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.